Hey everybody, Rosematter here, and welcome to part 12 of my Higurashi When They Cry Tsumihoroboshi Let's Play. Things popped off in the last episode, so Rena has enacted her plan, her come-from-behind plan to save Hinemizawa. She's taken the classroom hostage, and she's told Oishi that she has a bomb that is set to go off. And when we finished the last episode, there was 15 minutes to go until the bomb goes off and kills everybody, including herself, so Keiichi has to try and find the bomb, and I don't know what's gonna happen. I'm hoping this will be the end of the whole chapter, that I'll be able to finish the chapter in this episode. I don't know honestly how much is left, but I'm hoping to get it done in this one. So we will see. We will see how all of this ends. I am so hyped. So without further ado, let's get into it.
なんですかあんたたちは。
どきたまえ。
Utaka.
ここの責任者は誰だね。
Wonder if this is one of Mion's relatives? Several cars had arrived, producing several men. They weren't from the Okonomiya station. One of the men was wearing a suit despite the hot weather. He approached me, pushing Kumagai aside.
おや、これはこれは。お久しぶりですね。県警本部の大高くんじゃありませんか。
言葉を慎みたまえ。もう君に君と呼ばれる階級ではない。
何かご用ですかね、大高くん。今非常に立て込んでいます。まさか県警がこの現場を乗っ取ろうつもりで？誰の了解で？
私が許可した、大石君。
所長！
高杉君から事情は聞いている。君がまいた種だという話も聞いているぞ。君はもう下がって、あとは機動隊に任せるんだ。
機動隊って。大高君、あんたまさか吸収する気ですか？
危険は重々承知だ。だがもう爆発まで時間がない。君が時間を浪費しすぎたのだ。その尻拭いを我々がしようというんだ。君らは引き継いで後方に下がりたまえ。
I couldn't talk back if both the chief and a guy from the prefectural headquarters gave me an order.
大石さん、何者っすかあいつは。
大高くん。昔麻雀がくっそ弱いくせに生きがってたからちょいと叩き潰してやったことがありましてね。それともあれかな、剣道大会で偉そうにしてやがったから面食らわして失神させたのを根に持ってるのかな。
Obviously, we didn't get along.
大石君、現在の最新の状況を説明したまえ。
あんた本気で突入する気で？こっちはもうすぐ睡眠薬で穏便に決着がつけられそうなんだ。それをひっくり返す機会。
もう遅すぎる。あと1時間あったらその手も検討できたな。突入は府警の専門部隊が担当する。君はバックアップに回りたまえ。
所長、あんた分かってますよね。あの教室は今や巨大な爆弾なんです。だが一番恐ろしい爆弾は教室じゃない。犯人の竜宮レナ本人なんです。我々はようやくそれをなだめ、穏便に解決する手順を踏み、それを実行しようとしています。時間は確かにもう10分もない。
Oh my gosh, 10
でも
minutes.
必ず成功させてみせます。講習は私が自らやります。
Oh, there's so many moving parts. There's Keiichi who has to try and find the bomb without Rena noticing he's left. There's Oishi trying to stop them from storming the building and potentially blowing up the whole place.
ダメなら私が粉々に吹っ飛んでおしまいです。所長たちは離れてそれを見てざまあみろと思ってればいい。
大石君、府警の専門部隊はただの機動隊じゃないぞ。第二機動隊といえば君ほどの男なら噂くらい聞いてるだろう。なんすか大石さん、第二機動隊って有名なんですか
？5年くらい前だっけ、空港の飛行機に犯人が立てこもった事件があったでしょう。あれをきっかけに東京と大阪にハイジャック専門の特殊部隊が組織されたって噂は聞いてましたがね。実在してましたか。
でも
なんだって不敬の機動隊がこんなところに。
Otaka smiled proudly.
たまたま県警機動隊との交流訓練があってね、特別に応援を要請したのだよ。
相変わらずですね。話をすぐ派手にしたがるその癖は。
The company members exited the vehicles one after another and took position. Oh shit. They didn't move like policemen.
大高君、あんた学校で銃撃戦をやる気かい？一発で大爆発を起こすぞ。
安心したまえ。突入犯が使うのは火器じゃない。ボート鎮圧用のガス銃だ。高圧ガスで催涙ガスを噴出する。何の問題もない。
Yeah, except if Rena's got the lighter. It's like they said, just one, like even if she just flicks it, she doesn't even have to drop it onto the floor to set it off.
へえ、そりゃ便利な水鉄砲
Oh,
があったもん
water
で。
guns! Water guns! Did we not talk about, did I not talk about last episode? Is like, is it gonna come down to like that final battle in the first part of the episode or the chapter?
ところでそのおもちゃは校庭を横断して教室まで届くほど便利なものなんで。
それは君が心配することではない。あとは我々に任せて下がりたまえ。
As I lifted my arms exaggerately, one elbow accidentally touched the car horn, which honked. Oh, accidentally. Of course, I did it on purpose.
今のは前原圭一を呼び出すサインですか？
ねえ、そうです。前原君が気づいてくれるのに祈るしかない。
Alright, I want to see what he's doing inside the, in the building. I want to see if he's gonna find the bomb.
今さら彼に何を？
This is so nerve-wracking.
連中は多分グレネードか何かでガラスをぶち抜いてガス弾を教室に撃ち込んでその隙に突入しようってつもりでしょう。連中はリュウグウレナを甘く見てる。彼女は本気だ。ガラスの割れる音でもライターをためらわず点火する。
Oh, and then I'm just thinking window breaking with her breaking the windows at her old school.
特殊部隊には制圧できないってことですか？
できないに決まってるだろう。
Oh, she seems to be the only one who realizes how dangerous she is.
だから今まで慎重にやってきたんじゃないの。リュウグウレナは初めから死ぬつもりなんだよ。命が惜しくない奴に突入なんて意味がないんだよ。前原さんしかいない。
おいさん、繋がりました。
もしもし、大石です。聞こえてたら咳払いお願いします。緊急の話があります。聞いてください。
どうせ悪い話だろ。
Poor Keiichi, she's just getting all this news piled on top of him. So much pressure.
悔しいですが、
But I
ビン
mean,
ゴです。
Keiichi works well under pressure. This is the ultimate like club activity. He's got to win.
県警が介入してきて、お膳立てをひっくり返すつもりです。特殊部隊が校舎に突入しようとしています。
おいおい、護身用スプレーでひるませてもその1秒で点火されちまうってんで、俺はずっと抑えてきたんだぜ。突入なんてそんなの無理に決まってるだろ。
県警はリュウグウさんがすでに死ぬ気であることを理解していません。ライターは脅しで点火するわけないと高をくくっています。多分5分以内に突入するでしょう。
Jeez.
突入する前になんとかリュウグウレナからライターを奪ってください。
それは次元発火装置を何とかしろというオーダーに追加で。
ねえ、そうです。
Keiichi, man. Poor guy.
マジかよ。あと5分でレナからライターを奪って次元発火装置もどうにかやってくれるぜ。
あなただけが頼りなんです。頼みます。
Alright, here we
ど
go.
うですか、さとこ。思いつきますですか？1階の廊下だけが知りたいんですの。そこにあるかないか。レナさんの行動パターンから考えて、1階ならあそこ、2階ならあそこ。
1階の廊下をコードが横断してないかざっと見ればいいんだな。
多分あるはず。普段のレナさんなら断言できますけど、今のレナさんはノイズだらけで行動パターンが読み切れませんわ。
よし、任せろ。なんとかする。もう悩むにも時間が足りねえよ。最後の2択は俺が直接探る。
I don't want another tragedy. You demons down in hell, I bet you're just waiting for an amusing end to unfold while eating some popcorn. I wonder if we're the demons just waiting for something bad to happen. I won't let that happen. I'm going to change everything. And then I'm going to make you pick up your popcorn off the floor. I don't want something bad to happen. I want there to be a triumphant good end for once. I spoke to Rena as she continued on with her story about the aliens.
何どうしたのケイチ君。
いや、今音が聞こえなかったか？
Rena went quiet and looked around. Rena had become totally paranoid about everything. Once she became worried, she couldn't ignore it.
本当にケイチ君。
ああ、聞き間違いじゃない。
I knew she'd want to check it herself, but she really couldn't leave the room for something like that. So in that case, she'd have to ask me to check for her. Rena must have been thinking the same thing.
ケイチ君。見てきて。
Rena gave me an order with a fake smile on her lips.
ああ、わかった。
Rena watched me go out into the hallway. As I did, she spoke to me.
レナを怒らせちゃ嫌だよ。
信用しろ。俺はレナの仲間だ。
うん。信じるよ。信じるから。裏切っちゃ嫌だからね。
After being freed from Rena, I looked for a cord in a hurry. I didn't even have 5 minutes. The office probably had more outlets than anywhere else. I headed for the teacher's office. Shit, where were the outlets? Unlike light switches, outlets couldn't always be found near entrances. Damn it, why did the clock in the teacher's office have to make such a loud ticking noise?
大丈夫なのですよ。ケイチならきっと見つけてくれますのです。レナさんならいつものレナさんより疑り深いレナさんならどこにどう仕掛けますの？この程度がわからなくてレナさんのトラップで最後なんて北条聡子一生の恥ですわ。
なんだこれ。
I saw a plug inserted into the unit under the principal's desk, and I also saw a cord extending under the door to the reception room. There shouldn't have been any reason why a cord had to be extended into that room. The reception room had an outlet of its own. I tiptoed over to the reception room and opened the door. Squeak! The door squeaked as I cracked it open a little. I poked my head inside the reception room. I saw the suspicious cord crossing the room and extending under the door to the hallway. I followed the cord through the reception room. I opened the door to the hallway, and the cord was extending into the storage closet. The storage closet was used to hold cleaning chemicals. I could smell them from here. The cord was extending into there. I carefully opened the door and turned the light on. The cord was attached to another extension cord, and there was an alarm clock that didn't belong in there. Hopefully that's not a decoy. Hopefully. The time bomb. So all I'd have to do was unplug the cord. I picked up the alarm clock. It looked like a normal alarm clock. Actually, it was a normal alarm clock. I remember Kumagai-san calling it a kitchen timer. He said it was a bit like an alarm clock. But this wasn't a bit like an alarm clock. It was an alarm clock. Wait, didn't alarm clocks use batteries? This alarm clock was a battery-operated one, too. I looked at the extension cord, and there was nothing plugged into it. Eh? What was this extension cord for? Why was this extending all the way from the teacher's office? Oh no. No. It was a decoy. Shit, a black shadow was covering me. I felt my body freeze. It was so frozen I felt it was about to crack. I turned around slowly and saw someone holding a hatchet above their head. Shit. I dropped the alarm clock. It made a noise as it hit the ground.
どうしてケイチ君は延長コードをたどって目覚まし時計なんか持ってるのかな？
All the cells in my body were frozen. This was Rena's trap. Rena was suspicious of everyone, including me. This whole time she thought there was someone connected to the people outside. This was a trap to lure that person out. Only the people outside knew about the time bomb. I was told about the whole thing, and so I followed the extension cord and picked up the alarm clock. How stupid of me. Oh my god, she is so smart.
待て。 レナ。
ケイイチ君のこと信じてたのに。
Oh no.
ひどいよ、ケイイチ君。
Rena hit me with the back of the hatchet Rena hit me with the backside of the hatchet earlier. It was painful, but it didn't kill me. But this time she was holding the hatchet the right way. Oh shit. It wouldn't just crack my forehead. It would split my entire head open. Oh no. Rena lifted the hatchet mercilessly. She moved slowly as if everything was in slow motion. She looked almost divine. Maybe it really was holy. I was praying after all. Praying? What was I praying for? You gotta get her, man. You gotta, I hate to say it, you gotta tackle her. You gotta take her down. I was praying for my life. Oh, Rika! What? 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 It was so sudden I couldn't tell what happened. Rika-chan had jumped onto Rena from behind. I didn't know what kind of weapon Rika-chan used, but Rena started moaning. It clearly hurt. Oh, she has the, no, Shion had the, what am I thinking of? The stun gun. I'm like, what does Rika have? I wonder if it's the syringe? That brought me back to reality. I couldn't just watch them. How did Rika get out? I had to get the lighter from Rena. This music, though, is intense.
力ずくでなら勝てると思うんじゃねえ。
Rena knew I was after the lighter. She closed her fingers around it tightly. Rika-chan was grabbing onto the arm Rena was holding the hatchet in. I wanted to tell her to run, but thanks to Rika-chan I could use both my hands to get at the lighter. The lighter flew out of Rena's hand. It hit the hallway wall and dropped down to the floor. This is so intense. I picked it up. At the same moment I did, Rena managed to shake off Rika-chan. This is gonna be like the showdown where it's like, oh, it's the correlation between the beginning and the end of this chapter. There's our chance. I turned in Sadako's direction. Okay. Okay, I mean, once again, not really much of a difference. I'll say, well, Sadako, you should be able to figure it out. I heard Sadako screaming from the classroom. Sadako had figured out where Rena hid the time bomb. I wanted to catch Rena, but I didn't have time for that. I had to do something about the time bomb instead.
Keiichi, 早くSadakoのところへ行くのです。
Oh, Rika, I hope Rika will survive. I hope this is the episode she'll survive. What if she's the only one who ends up dying? So even if everyone survives, Rika still dies. Rika-chan had spread her arms, blocking Rena's path forward.
バカなことはやめて逃げろ。
Keiichi, これは初めてではないの
Aww, she is. She knows she's gonna die.
です。覚えていないのですか？
え？
前の時、僕にあとわずかの頑張りがあれば、Keiichiは間に合ったのです。
It feels weird to be able to have a conversation with this while, like, Rena is still here. You think she would be really, like, would be able to fling Rika away from her pretty easily. No time to talk. You gotta go.
間に合わせる。だから言ってなのです。
I didn't know what Rika-chan was talking about. But there was one thing I did know. Just like Rena and Mion were ready to give up their lives for their friends, and I was willing to give up mine. Rika-chan was prepared for that, too. Therefore, telling Rika-chan to run was like telling her she wasn't my friend. And so, I will depend on my friend Rika-chan.
すまん、リカちゃん。
Exactly, come on! Leaving it to Rika-chan, I dashed for the classroom. As soon as Rika heard Keiichi's footsteps reach the classroom door, she sighed in relief. Oh, okay, come on. Come on, what's gonna happen here? As she did, Rena's black shadow came ever closer. Exactly! This is what I was saying, this is like a club activity.
リカちゃんは殺されちゃうよ。怒ったレナにきっと殺されちゃう。へえ、私が怖くないんだ。リカちゃんすごいよ。
Rika grabbed a mop as she ran from the storage closet. She picked it up and held it upside down like a spear. Rika's stance told Rena she was ready to fight. Rika didn't look like a little girl anymore. She looked so brave that Rena was even startled by it.
すごいね。殺されるのが怖くないんだ。
Rika smiled cynically. Rika usually never smiled this way.
この私が死を恐れるとでも。
She's like, do you know how many times I've died?
幾百の死の山脈を
Yeah,
越えてきた
exactly.
この私が今さら何を恐れるというのか。
君、リカちゃんじゃないね。あの夜に出会ったリカちゃんもどきの方だね。正体を表したな、宇宙人め。
Now, this is the one time I could say Rena is justified in thinking she's some sort of alien, because she really is very different from Rika.
本物のリカちゃんをどこへやった？
本物のリカ、ここにいるわよ。
みぱー。ああ、その小バカにしたところは間違いなくリカちゃんだね。そう、お社様は宇宙人だった。フルデ家はその末裔で宇宙人の直系の一族だもんね。脳みそを叩き割って中の寄生虫を引きずり出してやるからね。
Rena raised her hatchet and charged at Rika with a scream.
一撃で叩き割ってあげるよ。
Rena looked like a beast charging towards its prey. Oh god, what's gonna happen? Damn, but she looks so cool! Rika took a step backwards and lowered her body, preparing to counterattack. We'll see if this goes better than with Shion. She did that with no hesitation.
あいにくね。1分も稼げれば十分なの。遊んであげるわ。おいで、ナタ女。
いいですの、ケイイチさん。すべてのヒントと答えはもう朝の時にありましたの。
落ち着け、サトコ。俺に分かるように話せ。
Do you really need to explain? Just tell him where it is. You got like a minute.
つまりどういうことなんだ？
It's simple if you just remember. Come on, it's quite obvious when you do.
ねえ、今日は臭い。バーカ。窓を閉めたらもっと暑くなるんだよ。
We had been smelling gasoline coming from outdoors. There were no forestry service people in the office, so they weren't doing any work today. The smell wasn't coming from anything they were doing. In other words, it was the smell of Rena's gasoline. Rena hid the gasoline near the classroom. She had it in a plastic container. You can't smell gasoline that's in a plastic container. So in other words, she had more gasoline ready than just in the container she used to spread it around the classroom. Where was the smell coming from? Was it coming from outside? Vaporized gasoline is heavier than air. It sinks. There was another hint other than that.
あれ、俺たちのボールがねえ。王女、お前がまた隠したんだろう。
誰がそんなものを隠しますの？どうせ隠すならもう少し気の利いたものを隠しましたよ。
Kids who love to play with their ball never lose it. It should have been in the same place it always was. But it was gone. So that must mean Rena used it for something. The gasoline was coming from above. Ooh, a ball was missing. So maybe it was stuffed somewhere.
レナさんは雨どいの出口をボールで詰めて雨どいいっぱいにガソリンを注いだんですの。どこから？ 2階の屋根の上からですのよ。
The drain canal extended along the roof of the second floor and came straight down to the ground. Well, I was right about it being the second floor, just where it was, I guess I was wrong about. If it was plugged and filled with gasoline, it was like a huge Molotov cocktail that extended from the ground to the roof of the second floor. Furthermore, the drain canal ran by the classroom windows. If the canal exploded, the classroom would explode too.
じゃあつまり次元発火装置は
2階の窓から延長コードか何かで引っ張って屋根の上ですわ。
I picked up a pair of scissors and cut Sadako's bonds.
リカちゃんはどうやって縄跳びを解いたん
Yes,
だ？
that's what I want to know. Because she's Rika.
あるございましたわね。私は溶けるほど痩せてなくて。
I rubbed Sadako's head.
みんなを頼む。俺は屋上へ行く。
As I jumped out of the classroom, Sadako stopped me.
ケイイチさん、これを。
なんだよ、まだ何かあるのか？
Something silver sailed through the air. I caught it. It was a metal bat. Oh, bat versus hatchet. Here we go. Showdown. Yes. I mean, no, this is kind of bad. I don't want anyone to die. Oh, and it's... I was gonna say it's her brother's bat.
後でちゃんと返してもらうでございますからね。
ああ、すまん、佐藤。
The metal bat fit right into my palm. I didn't even feel its weight. He's like, I've had experience with this bat before. It really eased my mind. Through almost all of the chapters, the metal bat always comes back, doesn't it? The name Satoshi was written on the handle. This was the bat that belonged to Sadako's brother, Satoshi. He was the victim of last year's tragedy. You and I were the same. I won't let another tragedy take place. I'll treat this as a gift from you who was waiting in the wings. Let's rip apart the script of this demonic tragedy together. Let's go, Satoshi. As I tried to run up the stairs, I heard a loud noise coming from the hallway by the teacher's office. Oh boy, he's gonna have to make a choice. Does he go and save Rika, or does he stop the bomb? I saw Rika-chan rolling on the floor. Damn, Rika-chan. You held out as long as you could. Oh shit. Oh no, now Rena's gonna chase Keiichi up the stairs.
身体年齢があと5つもあれば。さあ、次はケイイチくんだよ。
やべえ。とにかく上だ。今は屋根の上だ。よく
気づいたね。よく気づいたね。でも、させるもんか。
Rena's face looked unbelievably scary. She was ready to rip me apart if she caught me. In that case, just try me. I hate... The one thing is about this is like, why would you say that out loud instead of being like, shit, I have to get to the rooftop, just go, just run. I jumped up the stairs, skipping every other step. I turned on the bug in my pocket. I didn't have time to put in the earphones. As Rena flew up the stairs, her foot got caught on a jump rope. She tripped and 3 buckets fell on her head. Sadako! The result of Sadako's trap. Sadako leaned against the wall and waved her index finger in a mocking gesture. How did you do that so fast, girl? Amazing.
なかなかの線を言ってましたけど、まだまだこの私とトラップ勝負をするのは3億5千光年くらい早くてでございましたよ。さとこちゃん、光年は距離だよ。
Smash. Uh-oh, the 4th bucket hit Sadako on the head. Oh, damn. I continued up to the rooftop. Rena ignored Sadako and ran after me.
大石さんか。やったぞ。ライターは奪った。次元破壊装置も分かってる。屋根の上、雨どいの中だ。今抑えに行ってる。
大石さん、まさかあれじゃ。
Oishi grabbed the pair of binoculars from Kumagai and looked at the rain gutter on the rooftop. There was something like an alarm clock sitting there. The cord from the clock was extending into the 2nd floor window. It was so obvious, but they didn't even notice until just then. Sadako was working hard to remove her classmates' restraints. This is so intense, my heart is pumping, it's just like there's like no time. But she couldn't do anything about the bike lock on Mion's neck. Oh god.
私はいいから早く逃げて。あら、ミオンさんらしくもない。こういう瞬間でも我が部の部長らしくあるべきではございません。部長はただ一言、こいつを外せと命令遊ばされれば結構ですのよ。
Sadako reached for the back of her collar and produced a bent hairpin. Yes. Sadako opened the window, climbed onto the windowsill, and faced the bike lock that was restraining Mion.
みんなは全部のカーテンを開けて窓を全部開けたら外へ駆け出すこと。
委員長、前原さんはどうするんです？
ケイちゃんは警察が助けてくれるから、みんなはとにかく一刻も早くここから逃げて。ってもう外したの？北条聡子にとって U 字ロックの U はこんなの楽勝。
You guys can have this conversation. You can have it outside. Just get out, please. The binoculars were trained on the classroom. All the curtains were open as well as the windows. The children, in turn, were all running out into the schoolyard. Oishi pulled Otaka aside, then grabbed his radio and yelled into it.
全班突入しろ。 突入人質を全員確保しろ。犯人は人質1名を追って2階へ上がった模様。
こら、何の真似だね。大石君、無線を返したもん。
Otaka tried to grab the radio from Oishi, but Kumagai stepped in. There was a dull noise and Otaka crumpled to the floor, convulsing.
ああ、すみませんです。膝がたまたまきれいに入っちゃったっすね。
教室内にはまだガソリンが充満してるぞ。十分に注意しろ。
This is Oishi having to, like, he's got to make up for, you know, what he did earlier. It's like he's got to end this on a high note. He can't retire of being the laughing stock of the police. This is his redemption arc.
ガス弾や閃光弾の類の使用は禁ずる。繰り返す。ガス弾、閃光弾の使用は禁ずる。大爆発するぞ。
This is the most hopeful I've ever been at the end of one of these chapters.
Fuka? 扉を打ち破れないですかね。
教室真正面です。ガソリン臭濃厚。火災に着火の恐れあり。指示を待ちます。
くそ、ブレーカーを落とせば上がりだと思ったのにな。電源室は放棄。2階部分を制圧されたし。
突入班了解。
大高君、電源室確保失敗時はどうするつもりだったんです。
それに失敗しないための特殊部隊だ。
これだから坊ちゃん育ちは。あとは時計のコンセントを抑えるしかないか。
Ooh, sniper unit.
おいさん、前原君です。
スピーカーを貸せ。前原さん、時計の電源は2階の奥の部屋。
I shook my head repeatedly. I couldn't do that. Rena was coming after me, so I couldn't head that way. What else could I do? The only way to go up to the roof of the second floor and get the clock. The only way was to go up to the roof of the second floor and get the clock from there. Oishi-san was telling me to go further up. Sadako only told me it was on the rooftop of the second floor, but she didn't tell me where exactly. She only said it was in the drain canal. But maybe Oishi-san found it with his binoculars. I put my foot on the railing of the veranda and ran up to the rooftop. I had never felt so light. I felt like I could lift myself with just 2 or 3 fingers. 30 seconds, Jesus. Heh. 30 seconds would be plenty of time. Hey, Keiichi, now is not the time to get cocky, my dude. I could get there in half that. Over there. Was that it? It was. I'm just waiting for this to be like another decoy.
撃てたら撃ちたいけど、それ実弾ですよね。実は狙撃銃タイプの催涙ガス銃とか。
実弾です。
そういうのは軍隊で使ってくださいよ。日本の警察には必要ないですね。前原さん、追ってきてます。
Yeah, I think he knows that.
急いで、追い詰められる。
How many more seconds did I have? Who cares? Whoa! I slid down the roof and grabbed the kitchen timer that was sitting on the drain pipe, which was filled with gasoline. There was a cord with a copper wire attached to it. This was supposed to create sparks and start an explosion. The hands on the clock kept moving, with the second hand trying to reach the minute hand. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3. Whoa! I threw it to the ground. A moment later, I heard the noise of something breaking. Ha! Ha! Did I do it? I'm just waiting for there to then be an explosion, and that wasn't it, and all of our, like, you know, hopes that this would end well is just gone. This feels too positive. This feels too positive. I'm waiting for an explosion.
前原さん、やった。
ケイチさんはちょっとハラハラさせすぎですわね。
She's still after him, you know. Like, it's not over yet.
余裕がないのはエレガントではありませんでしたよ。
Not only policemen, but the children who are on their way to ambulances raise their voices and cheer.
大石さん、消防からっす。現場は依然危険度最大につき、突入犯全員の即時退却を進言しています。
事件発火装置はもうないのに？
発火装置がなくても危険度は最大級の現場だそうです。
I don't suppose Keiichi would be able to jump off the roof right now and just get away.
これ以上は突入犯全員の生命に危険があります。
But he still wants to save Rena too. I don't think he would just leave and just, you know, because she probably, like you said, was planning on killing herself regardless, and Keiichi still wants to save Rena, so I don't think he would just jump off the roof and leave her there.
くそ、屋上の前原君をどうしよう。2階屋根なら。
大石さん、図面では校舎下に花壇があります。そこへ飛び降りるように誘導しましょ
う。大石より突入中の全隊へ作戦中止、退却せよ、退却せよ。聞こえますか？それから竜宮さんも、もうそこは危険です。いつ爆発するかわからない。校舎の下に花壇があります。そこへ飛び降りてください。
花壇だって？畜生、ここからじゃよくわかんねえってのによ。
What? But it didn't sound like I had enough time to be looking for it. I noticed a white hand at the edge of the roof, followed by Rena's head. Oh shit. Here we go. This is it. This is what I thought it was going to come down to. The final confrontation between these two. Everybody else is gone. Rena slowly crawled up to the rooftop. I waited for her there.
まさかこんなところに隠したのを見つけるとはね。
I'm wondering if rather than just like jump away from her, he's going to be like, let's go together. Let's go down together and whatever happens, happens, but I don't want to leave you behind.
これで全て失敗か。
Rena scratched at her throat. The band-aids peeled off and her throat started to bleed.
ゲームセットだな、レナ。
We were confronting each other on the rooftop of the second floor. This wasn't a club activity, but a real battle. Rena was glaring at me with hatred at first. But maybe because she'd already given up, she started smiling wickedly. I heard the chorus of the Higurashi in the background, as if to cool us down from the heat of battle. I didn't think we needed their service yet, though.
そうだね。すごろくだったらここはゴールで、ケイイチ君の上がりだね。でも、これはゲームじゃない。
Oh boy.
だからここはゴールじゃなくて、行き止まりって言うんだよ。
負けを認めないやつだな。
Yep, this is just like the water gun battle.
レナはつくづく強いやつだよ。絶対へこたれない、くじけない。最後まで戦う。そして、最後まで信じるんだ。
こんな時に褒められても、ちっとも嬉しくないね。ケイイチ君は、私が最後の命をかけての計画をぶち壊しにした。人類を宇宙人から守ろうと必死に戦ってたのに、それをぶち壊しちゃった。これで人類が滅んじゃったら、ケイイチ君のせいで滅んだって歴史に残っちゃうんだよ。
I didn't mean to laugh, but I couldn't help it. My name would be written down in the history books of the aliens as the one who destroyed the human species. Somehow, that sounded kinda cool.
レナ、お前が何と言おうと、このゲームは俺の勝ちだ。
Once again, Keiichi, be careful about being cocky.
すでに俺が勝ってるのに、レナが負けを認めないだけだ。
そうだね。そうなのかもしれないね。
I'm afraid she's gonna kill herself, though.
でも、そういうものかもしれないよな。ゲームってのは、勝者が決まって終わるもんじゃない。敗者が決まって終わるもんなんだ。ってことは、俺が勝つだけじゃダメってことだ。
へえ、それはどういう意味なのかな。
I tapped my shoulder with the metal bat, gesturing for Rena to come at me.
レナにきっちり負けたってこと。
Well,
叩き込んでやろうってことだよ。
so much for this. I thought Keiichi was gonna show her a little bit of mercy and maybe extend, maybe he was gonna like drop the bat and like gesture his arms out to her and be like, you know, let's be friends again. You're still my friend, but nope. Okay, we're doing full-on battle here, but I'm okay with this. This is gonna be awesome. I won't run or hide. Do you know why? According to the rules of our club, we don't run from our enemies.
ここで白黒をつけてやるぜ。レナがもう負けてるってことをよ。
ふーん。
言ってやるぜ。寄生虫に宇宙人？バカじゃねえのか？そんなの今時誰が信じるんだよ。鼻で笑っちまうで。
最初から信じてなかったくせに信じてたふりをしてレナを騙してたな。許せない許せない許せない。
レナが信じてるのは勝手だぜ。だが俺はそんなうさんくせえの信じねえからな。同じ信じるなら徳川の埋蔵金の方が楽しそうだぜ。
I hate that Keiichi's going on about who would believe in stupid parasites. I did for a little while. Dang it. And Keiichi, admit it, you kind of believed it too for a little while.
それでも信じさせたいってんなら俺たち部活メンバーには簡単な信じさせ方があるじゃねえかよ。
Oh.
勝った方が正義ってことだね。
そういうことさ。
Rena and I grinned at each other, and as we went around in circles on the rooftop, we both checked the distance between us.
レナが俺をぶちのめせたなら俺も宇宙人の話を信じてやろうじゃねえか。朝晩 UFO を呼ぶ怪しげな踊りをして牛小屋にキャトルミューティレーションに行ってやる。だがなレナ、俺にグーの音が出ないくらいにぶちのめされたらそん時は覚悟してもらうぜ。
それを取り切れる必要はないかなケイイチ君なんかに私が負けるはずないもん。
Rena came at me with a heavy strike. I caught it easily with the metal bat. It looked like there were some sparks. Oh, geez, be careful. Interesting, guys. Sparks, gasoline. Careful. What if during their fight they just set off sparks and just blew both of themselves up?
まあそう言うなよ。意外にそうでもなかったりするもんだぜ。俺も部活で何度も激戦をくぐってきてようやく分かってきたことがある。自分ってやつをな。どういう時に自分が最高のパワーを出せるか分かってきたんだ。
へえ、それは何かな
Rena, your hatchet can be a powerful weapon, but my metal bat is as powerful as your hatchet. Sure, it doesn't have a blade, but it reaches farther and it's easy to handle. I won't be going for a defensive battle. I'm going to fight you face to face, and I'm going to defeat you. I'm sure I'm stronger than you physically, but you're better at drawing out your true potential, Rena. In other words, we're equally matched. This is great. I won't need to hold back at all.
私を叩きのめしたらどうするってほらほらほらほら押されてるんじゃないかな。
遊んでやってるだけだぜ。まあ見てろ。レナをコテンパンにしたらどうしてやろうかね。これだけ互いにコインやチップをかけまくってるんだ。相当の支払いを覚悟してもらうぜ。
得ることの叶わない勝利に酔うもまたケイイチ君の虚勢が痛々しいよ。
ち分かってないな。俺はご褒美のデカさに比例してパワーアップする男だぜ。そうだな。もちろん俺専属のメイドさんだよな。
I can't believe that he's able to spell this stuff out while someone is coming at him with a hatchet.
朝はおはようございますから夜はおやすみなさいまでたっぷりご奉仕三昧だ。
I was like, dude, would you trust... Yeah, I was gonna say... Would you trust Rena with your food to, like, serve you food and stuff? Or just trust her in general? I wouldn't, right now. Yeah, Keiichi. Well, I mean, you know what? If his perversion gives him power, go for it, dude. What if this is what it is? It's like the more perverted he gets, the stronger he gets, and that's how he's gonna win this.
Keiichi-kun らしいな。そんなのはごめんだね。むしろ私が勝って逆の立場にしてあげるよ。
Ahaha. We both laughed like crazy people as we struck at each other. It was strange how much fun it was becoming. I was just watching Oishi watching this and just be like, what the fuck? Rena and I were trying to kill each other, and yet it was a blast. Sparks were flying. We could get seriously injured. If we fell off the rooftop, we'd break our bones, yet this was so much fun. I had been mourning and crying all day today while Rena terrified me. How did all that turn into this?
ってことは結局俺たちにシリアスは似合わねえってこった。互いの火花を浴び合いながらヘラヘラしてるのが互いに性に合ってるってわけだ。
It's making me nervous how much he keeps reiterating the fact that sparks are flying. I'm just like, that's gonna set off of the explosion.
おあいにくだね。レナはエレガントで上品なのが大好きなの。そういうヘラヘラしたのはケイイチくんが一人でお楽しみ遊ばせ。
Rena's next strike came at a strange angle, but I managed to deflect it.
甘い甘い全然ダメだぜ。やっぱりお前撃沈確定だな。よ
うやく体が温まってきたところだよ。こんなのウォーミングアップでしょ。
はあ？バカなりゃしねえよ。こんなのお散歩程度だな。お前汗だくだぜ。
お前は汗の代わりに血を垂らせばいいや。
前原さん。
It's like finally someone stepping and be like, hey, why don't you just jump off the roof?
飛び降りて！飛び降りて！ダメっすね。血が上っちゃってるようで声が聞こえてないみたいです。おいさん。
ごめん。
He's having fun watching.
何
をぼーっとしてるんですか。彼を救出する方法を考えないと。
Oishi couldn't figure out why he was distracted, considering the seriousness of the situation. He was engrossed in watching the two of them fight with the sunset behind them. Oh, wow. Oh, boy. But Oishi wasn't the only one. Everyone watching was captivated by their battle on the rooftop. At that moment, a sudden loud voice broke the silence. Students who were about to climb out, the students who were about to climb onto the ambulance were cheering him on. Mio was being loaded onto a stretcher with bandages around her head, but even she sat up, captivated as she was by Rena and Keiichi's duel. Our once happy days were supposed to have shattered due to a series of misunderstandings. They were supposed to be irretrievable. But, why? Why did I feel this way? This was such a close game, but but it wouldn't be fun to stay in a stalemate forever. Ren and I kicked at each other with perfect timing and increased the distance between us.
楽しくなってきたぜ。どうだレナ、最高に楽しくねえか。
レナは最初から楽しいよ。でもケイイチ君の頭を叩き割ったらもっと楽しいかな。
ひょー、危ねえ。おらおら、こっちへ戻ってこい。足場を十分に使おうじゃねえか。こんな最高の舞台何度もあるもんじゃねえ。まんべんなく楽しもうぜ。
絵になるよ、絵になるね。私たちほらいつの間にか月を背負ってるんだね。風が気持ちいいや。
She almost sounds a little bit more like the regular Rena there. Maybe this is what's gonna bring her back, is her just playing like the I say playing, they're still trying to hurt each other. But maybe just like, oh, this is like the club activities, this is like the happy days we had. Maybe she'll snap out of it. I want to believe still that she will. It was such a fantastical scene. Two people were fighting on the rooftop of the school building with the moon behind them. It was almost unbelievable. All the policemen and children looked at that mysterious and fantastical scene from a distance, completely entranced. Everyone was thinking the same thing, but nobody said anything. Why does it look like they're having fun?
なんかよ、こういう涼しさでこう暑くなるとよ、綿流しの祭りの時を思い出すんだよな。どうも俺は静かに夕涼みってのがダメでさ。月が出るとはしゃがずにはいられなくなっちまうんだよ。
All us club members went crazy on the night of Watanagashi. The mayor scolded us by the end of it, but we laughed at each other and promised to do the same thing again next year.
月に酔うか、なんだかかっこいいじゃない。私たちはもう月に酔ってるのかもしれないね。
Well, one of us is.
ああ、同感だな。仲間と命のやり取りをしててそいつが面白いと感じちまうようじゃ。
Yeah, I guess that's
俺
true.
たちは最高にいっちまってる。
Yeah, Keiichi's probably a little crazy too.
こいつがそうさ、ルナティックってやつさ。
Some people say the moon has the power to arouse passion in people. Maybe that's true and maybe it's not. One thing that's for sure is that even if it were a new moon tonight, we would still feel the same way. As our surroundings got darker, the sparks we'd create with each hit started to look like fireflies. Hey now, isn't there gasoline in the drain pipe right nearby? Yeah. Ah ha ha, who cares? If an explosion happens, it happens.
ほら、何をやってんだか。バットが汗で滑ってるんじゃない？休憩にしてハンカチで手でも拭いたら？その間に頭を叩き割るけどね。
そいつはいいや。レナこそ汗でスカートがまとわりついて気持ち悪いだろ。脱いでもいいんだぜ。俺は手を出さないで見物するけどな。
へえ。それで足に見とれてる隙にガツンとお見舞いするよ。
楽しいな、レナ。
悪くないね。
We flew, we danced. We struck, we laughed. We step back once in a while to catch a breath and then charge at each other and let the sparks fly. We aimed at each other as we went around in circles on the rooftop of the school, our special stage. Ren and I were all sweaty, but we weren't exhausted yet. The beads of sweat rolling down my body just tickled me. We exchanged furious blows one after the other. Neither of us were at advantage or disadvantage. Neither of us exulted in victory or raged in defeat. The battle with Rena in itself was fun. It was like a dance. A dance I couldn't dance by myself. It was a dance I could only dance with someone with whom I was equally matched.
あの時さ、クラス全体の部活の日、水鉄砲で一騎打ちした時さ、思わなかったか？
Yes.
実は私も思ってた。
もう一回こんな戦いをしてみたいって。
Oh my god, they called it right from the beginning where they said they wanted to do it again. I forgot about that part. As we thought that way on the rooftop, our classmates down below must have thought the same. Our fight was so pure and passionate that everyone thought the same thing. We want to join them. Everyone just grabs weapons. Let's go! Battle Royale, let's do it!
水鉄砲だったけど、やることは同じだった。
あの時より面白いぜ。今度は水の残量なんか気にしなくていいんだからよ。
水鉄砲じゃ火花も出ないしね。
撃ち合うこの感覚もないもんな。
We both were breathing hard, waiting for the right timing to take a step forward. In the midst of that, we grinned at each other.
あの時も多分言ったセリフだが、あえてもう一度言うぜ。
じゃあレナもあの時と同じセリフで返そうかな。
We both smiled wickedly in the same moment.
やり合うのが楽しくてならねえぜ。決着がつくことすら興ざめするくらいにな。
負けても恨まないでね。
ああ、恨まない。この勝負を終わらせた自分の不甲斐なさを恨んでやるぜ。だがそいつを恨むのはどうやらレナの方になりそうだな。
どうかな、ケイチ君、足が藁だよ。
くそったれー。おりゃ
Everyone was captivated by our fight. They were swept up in our fight. We both had weapons, weapons deadly enough to seriously hurt one another. But we were both perfectly matched, and neither of us had hit the other yet. Why did they look so happy? This was just ridiculous. All the people below were just watching this fight on the rooftop with a beautiful moon as a backdrop. Not even the police could stop them. This was impossible. This battle was absurd and absolutely impossible.
ケイチさん、なるべく屋根の中央を維持するんですのよ。わずかの高みを生かすんですわ。
Sadako and some of her classmates cheered Keiichi on, but there were some who were cheering for Rena too. Guys, you do realize she tried to kill you, right? To them, this was no longer a fight to the death. It was just the second round of their water gun battle. A club activity is a club activity, and a game is a game. This was just the second round, so nobody would die. I hope so. Even though they had real weapons, nobody thought they would get hurt. Rika wasn't cheering. She was just looking up at the rooftop.
こんなの見たことない。
Rika thought to herself. She thought Keiichi could win. Not just against Rena. Rika thought Keiichi could even destroy the walls of the maze of tragedies that had no exit.
狙撃犯は何をしているのかね。人質に危害を加えようとしているのだぞ。直ちに射殺したまえ。
As Ataka yelled into the radio, Mion screamed at him to stop.
違うよ。レナを撃たないで。レナはもう違う。さっきまでのおかしいレナじゃない。あのレナは違う。だから撃たないで。
So really, the quote-unquote club activity snapped her out of it?
違うとはどういう意味かね。見たまえ。 現に凶器を振りかざしているじゃないか。明らかな殺意だ。射殺しないと人質が危ないのだよ。
とにかく違う。レナを撃っちゃいけない。もしもレナを撃ったらケイちゃんはあんたを殺すよ。断言できる。
どうして私をなのかね。
あの二人は殺し合いをしてるんじゃない。ただ撃ち合って火花を飛ばして遊んでるだけなんだよ。見てわかるでしょ。そしてケイちゃんは語りかけてる。自分がレナと対等なことを。対等というのは一番信頼できるということ。ケイちゃんはレナの目を覚ませる。いや、もう覚ましつつあるんだよ。
I can't believe it. I want to believe it, but
レナの悪い夢はもう終わりつつあるんだ。
ケイイチ君はやっぱり最高だよ。君だけは殺したくない。君がいない世界はさぞや退屈だろうと思うよ。
なんだか照れるお言葉痛み入るぜ。んでどうするんだ。その世界とやらは宇宙人の侵略があって大変じゃねえのかよ。
宇宙人なんて寄生虫なんて、なんだ、世界が滅ぶならいつでも好きな時に滅べばいいし、御三家の陰謀なんて知ったことか。
ああ、そうさ。たとえ明日隕石がぶつかって地球が砕けるとしたって、
今この瞬間より楽しいことなんて他にあるもんか。
oh my gosh, he actually got through to her.
それにお前毒を盛られてて今夜で死んじまうんじゃねえのかよ。余命の短いやつがピンピンしやがって。
そうだったね。すっかり忘れてたよ。私は今夜中に首をかきむしって死んでしまうんだったっけ。
なんだよ、自分で作った設定だろ。忘れるんじゃねえや。ほれ、たまには首をボリボリかきやがれ。分かってるよ。もう痒くなんかねえんだろ。そりゃそうさ。首を引っかくより。
私たちはもっと楽しいことをしているんだもの。
I wished it was never end, but my body was screaming. I was breathing hard and felt dizzy from lack of oxygen. My upper body felt as light as a piece of paper, as if even a slight breeze could take me away. It really had been a blast, but I needed to end it soon. I felt the same sadness as in that water gun fight. Back then, it had been declared a draw.
今回はどうなるだろうね。
さてな、一つ言えることがある。最高に楽しかったぜ。
I jumped backwards and slammed the roof with my bat. The sound was as intense as a huge drum, and the noise woke up the people who were captivated by our fight. The silence returned and the chorus of Higurashi filled the air.
じゃあ一度間合いを開こうじゃねえか。
そうだね。次の一撃で今度こそ決着をつけよう。
We started to move slowly and increase the distance between us. Everyone realized it. This fight was ending very soon.
じゃあ最後の最後だ。もう一回確認するぜ。
なんだっけ。
She looks like Rena again.
おいおい、この戦いはお互いかけてるものがあったろうが。
And this music seems so
お
hopeful.
前そのために戦ってたんじゃなかったのかよ。
そうだったっけ。ごめん、忘れちゃってた。
仕方ねえやつだな。確認するぜ。まずは俺が勝った場合だ。俺の専属メイドになってご奉仕三昧の前にした。人前ではこれが私のご主人様ですってちゃんと紹介するんだぞ。
可愛い服じゃないと嫌だよ。
そこは任せろ。監督の完全監修のもと、古式ゆかしいオールドスタイルからちょっとドキドキな改造メイド服までいろいろと取り揃える。もちろん特注でレナにぴったりとフィットするサイズなんだ。 すごいだろ。
すごいすごい。負ける気はさらさらないけど、なんだか楽しそう。
次はレナが勝った場合だ。
I paused for a moment.
レナが勝ったなら俺はレナの話を信じる。
She's like, I don't even know if I believe my stories anymore. Rena was happy until just a moment ago, but that expression was suddenly wiped from her face.
宇宙人が地球侵略に来ていて、俺たちの頭の中には寄生虫が入ってる。そしてそれを園崎家が暗躍してて秘密研究をしてて、世界は明日から宇宙人に支配されるって話を信じてやる。あとお前は毒で今夜死んじまうんだよな。最後はちゃんと見とってやるから安心しろ。
なんだか私が勝ってもつまんないね。
Oh boy. This is like... This must be Rena. Like, all it took was a good fight to the death for her to snap out of it.
ケイチ君が勝った方のご褒美の方が楽しそうだよ。
仕方ねえだろ。お前そういう話だからわざわざ学校を乗っ取ったんじゃなかったのかよ。
そうだったんだっけね。
I like when she's like, you know what, when you say everything out loud like that, yeah, I guess it does sound kind of dumb.
ごめん、忘れそうになってたよ。
Rena smiled sadly for a moment, but soon that expression was wiped off her face too.
俺は何しろレナのメイドさんがかかってるんだからよ。
I was gonna say, Keiichi, even if you win, I don't think Rena's gonna be your maid because she's gonna be taken away from the cops for, you know, holding a whole classroom hostage and also for confessing to killing some people that I'm sure Oishi heard over the earpiece when they were talking about moving the bodies.
意地でも勝ちに行くぜ。
ブーブー。レナが勝っても面白くないよ。
なんだよ。じゃあ今から帰るか。レナが勝ったらどうするよ。
Finally, Rena smiled happily again. The breeze dried our sweat. It was a good feeling. We no longer went crazy even with the moon out. We could finally enjoy the coolness of the evening. It would be so nice if we could just lie down on our backs and gaze at the moon. Still smiling a little, Rena spoke.
私もケイチ君と同じご褒美がいいな。
なんだよそれ。俺がメイドかよ。どぎついな。
別にメイドさんじゃなくていいよ。でも他は同じ。朝は私におはようって言って、夜は私におやすみって言ってほしい。いっぱい私に優しくしてほしい。いっぱい私を楽しくさせてほしい。あれこれじゃ私が勝ってもケイチ君が勝っても私たちずっと一緒なんだよね。
Aww.
一緒ではあるが待遇にえらい違いがあるけどな。
どうしてこんなにも大好きなケイチ君と私はこんなことをしてるんだろう。
さーてな、どうして俺たちは屋根の上になんかいるんだ。何しに俺たちはここへ登ったんだっけ。
どうしてだったっけ、忘れちゃったよ。
バカと煙は上へ登るってやつだろ。
I can't believe he actually managed to do it.
じゃあ俺たちは二人とも大バカだな。
バカ仲間だね。
仲間だな。じゃあそろそろ行こうじゃないか。せっかくの体がクールダウンしちまう。
そうだね。体が冷めちゃわないうちに決着をつけよう。
We readied our weapons and took our stances.
私ね、やっぱりやめないってそう言おうと思った。
I shook my head slowly.
ダメだ。決着は必要なんだ。じゃないと終わらない。せっかくの俺とお前の戦いがうやむやじゃダメなんだ。綺麗に終わらないとダメなんだ。
こんなのおかしい。ひょっとしたらどっちが勝っても負けてもご褒美がなしになるかもしれない。
その時も恨みっこはなしだぜ。だから先に言っとく。
何？
楽しかったぜ。
私もだよ。
レナ、仮に俺たちのどちらかが死のうと、俺たちは絶対にまた会えるから。だからまた会えたなら
今度は普通に遊んで、普通に笑い合って、普通に恋をしよ
Aw.
う。絶対に互いを疑わない。互いを絶対に信じ合う。だから絶対に会えるよね。絶対だよね。
I don't like the fact that they're still implying someone could die. I was hoping that it would end peacefully, but we'll see.
絶対だ。
Tears appeared in Rena's eyes. I noticed I was about to break down too.
じゃあ行くぜ。
There was no signal, but we stepped forward at the same time. Our shadows jumped in the moonlight. We were fighting so viciously earlier, but now it was like we were moving very slowly. We must have looked like a shadow play. Everyone was watching the shadows dance. Rena's shadow hit my metal bat violently. As a result, I let go of it. Uh-oh. The metal bat bounced once on the roof, then rolled down to the schoolyard. I had lost my weapon. Here was Rena's chance. Of course she wouldn't miss it. Oh, is he gonna extend his arms out and maybe, like she did right before he killed her and she opened her arms for a hug? Maybe he'll do the same thing? Maybe? It's just the same. I was lying flat on the roof and Rena got on top of me. Rena's knees were holding down my arms and there was no way for me to fight back. Except he can't hug. He can't reach out now. The moon was divided into two. The shadow of Rena's hatchet had split the moon right down the middle. This was the end.
やるな。腕が抜けねえや。
ねえ、ケイチ君、もう決着ついたんだよね。
おいおい、そいつを振り下ろすまではまだつかないぜ。
嫌だ。
Aw.
嫌だよ。嫌だ。
Rena's arms were still raised, but tears were pouring from her eyes.
どうしてこんなことになっちゃったんだろう。どこで変になっちゃったんだろう。私はみんなを大好きで、みんなを信じていたはずなのに、どこで信じられなくなってしまったんだろう。
She's breaking through just like Keiichi said. It's like I wasn't strong enough, but Rena is.
どうしてケイイチ君にナタを振り上げているのかわかんない。どうして私はこんなにも大好きな仲間たちにこんなにも恐ろしいことをしてしまったんだろう。
お前、そうか。気づいたのか。
Yes.
この世界で。
自分で自分が信じられない。
And then she slams a hatchet on him, and he's just like, oh shit. So close.
こんなにもあんなにも楽しい日々だったのに、どうして私は何の不満もなかったし、何の不安もなかったのに、どうして自分で壊してしまうような真似を。
レナ、お前はやっぱりすげえよ。
After I killed you and Mion, I didn't realize I'd done anything wrong, so I left a note and called Oishi-san. I still believed that someone else was at fault. Even after I was dead. I didn't even notice I had sinned. How sad it was to kill my friends because of a little misunderstanding, even when they were trying to help me. And how painful it was not to realize it was a sin.
だから、レナはすごいんだよ。仲間を一人も殺さなかった。
Oh, she still got the hatch in her hand. I'm like, let's not say that just yet.
お前は罪を犯す前にさすがだよレナ、さすがだよ。俺とは違うんだ。
I'm waiting for it. Come on, drop the hatchet. Rena stood up slowly and lowered her hatchet. Oh my gosh.
仲間を傷つけたよ。
part of me was still like, maybe she's still gonna do it.
みーちゃんにひどいことをした。
後で謝っとけ。俺的には当分の間、姉妹の入れ替わりを見抜けて、ちょうどいい傷跡だと思ってるぞ。
それに 殺しちゃってるもんね。
ん？誰も殺してないだろ。誰を殺したよ。
マミやリナと北条って。
Keiichi's like, oh yeah, I forgot about them.
あ
Yeah,
あ、あいつらか。
he literally did. I thought he was just playing dumb to be like, because maybe the cops were still listening in on the earpiece.
あの二人を殺すことは正しいことだと思ってた。でもあの二人を殺した日からもう世界はおかしくなっていたと思う。だということはあの二人を殺すのは正しいことじゃなかったのかな。
正しいかどうかは知らんが、最善手じゃなかったことは確かだな。
最善手って？
そんなこともわからないのかよ。
I grabbed Rena's head and embraced her. Then I told her. I told her something so simple. It was so simple that anyone could think of it. But Rena didn't do it. I didn't do it either back then.
何かヤバかったり、疑いそうになったり、辛いことがあったりした時はな。
It was so simple. He's like, you tell your friends.
仲間に
Yeah.
相談するんだよ。
Aww.
そうだよね。そうだよね。
Rena cried in my arms for a while. She cried about the wrong choice she made at the very beginning. The choice couldn't have been hard to see. I'm sure it was something that was within her grasp. How stupid it was to worry about it by herself. She had friends. She had friends whom she trusted. Sorry. Why did she think she couldn't talk to her friends about it?
私が間違ってた。どうして話さなかったんだろう。なんで私はみんなを信じてるのに信じてなかったんだろう。
俺もかつてそうだった。だから俺は笑わねえぞ。でも気づけたならいいんだ。しかもレナは俺なんかよりずっと早く気づけたじゃねえか。
We will trust each other. We will never doubt our friends. We will rely on each other. We will talk to each other and help each other. That's why friends are always happy and why we can endure anything together.
じゃあレナ、幕の降りた舞台だけどさ、これで全部おしまいだぜ。
カーテンコールって何かな。
まあまあ、俺の独り言だ。最後だけ付き合ってくれよ。
We stood up together, holding hands. The moon was hanging behind us. When I nodded, Rena threw away her hatchet. It disappeared into the darkness below. And I spoke to the audience in hell, the demons who weren't expecting this ending. I was proclaiming victory.
これで今宵はおしまいだぜ。俺たちは惨劇に打ち勝った。もう俺たちは互いを疑わない。だからいつまでも結束している。だからどんな惨劇が訪れようとも二度と屈すると思うんじゃねえ。悲劇など知るか、惨劇など知るか。悪魔どもが喜ぶ脚本が俺たちが全部ぶち壊してやるぜ。
Oh, that's it? That's it? What? What? Okay. We gotta see this. I'm like, they do have to realize, like, there's gotta be some repercussions for this. The incident at the Forest Service Field office in Hinemizawa. Date of event, midday, June 25th, the 58th year of the Showa era. Location, Hinamizawa, Shishibone City, inside the Forest Service Field office. Summary. On June 25th, the suspect, Rena, broke into the Forest Service Field office in Hinamizawa. She forced her way into the classroom at the local school housed within the office complex and proceeded to take 25 people hostage. The suspect scattered around a large quantity of gasoline and held the school hostage for over 7 hours. The situation remained in a deadlock for some time, but at 1845, several hostages resisted and fled from the building. At the same time, a special unit from Osaka Police Department's 2nd Riot Division arrived on scene. 24 of the hostages were safely rescued. The remaining hostage fled to the roof, and after a brief pursuit, the suspect engaged him in close combat. At 1910, she agreed to disarm and surrender, freeing the final hostage. Casualties: 4, minor injuries. Sonozaki Mion, captured by the suspect around noon, escaped at 1845 and was taken to safety. Suspect inflicted minor injuries during the fight. Furday Rika, captured by suspect around noon, escaped around 1845. Suspect inflicted minor injuries on her during a fight. Hosho Sadako, she fell and suffered minor injuries during her escape. Maebara Keiichi received minor injuries when he engaged in combat with the suspect. Regarding the arrest, okay, we knew she'd have to be. She disarmed and surrendered to the police at 1910 and was subsequently arrested. She was taken to the Okonomiya police station and questioned. She admitted to the outline given above. There has been some dispute about the accountability of the suspect during the crime, but after subjecting her to a psychiatric examination, the prosecution determined the suspect fully accountable for her actions. The defense is in direct opposition to this and has submitted their own psychiatric examination report denying the suspect's accountability. The trial is currently in session. Okay. I was gonna say, they aren't gonna be like, okay, Rena, we're just gonna let you go with a warning. Okay, that... Wow. Okay. There's gotta be some after part to this. So this ends with Rena basically in police custody. Also, we have to assume that if Keiichi still had the earpiece going on, or he still had the bug, if he still had, and then Rena admitted to killing 2 people. I'm assuming the police heard that, but there's no mention of that here, so we'll see. Come on, give me some aftermath here. Come on, you can't end it like that. The car began to rattle as the road turned from asphalt to gravel. The cry of the cicadas seeped through the tightly shut windows. Most people would open their car windows and let the natural air in along with the sound of the cicadas. But people are also spoiled. He'd rather keep himself cool with the air conditioning turned to max and listen to the sounds of nature. Usually it was the rainy season at this time of the year. But this June the summer had already come without any rain. Just like how the weather was on that day 20 years ago. Oh. Akasaka, we're getting back to this. I totally forgot about him.
隣の村みたいに世界文化遺産に指定されることもあったかもしれないのに惜しいですね。
そのおかげで観光客がいない。実に快適じゃないか。どうして旅行者ってのは田舎じゃ交通法規を忘れられるんだ。道路いっぱいに横になりやがって。
赤坂先輩はアウトドア今も？
最近はさっぱりだな。何しろ暇のない家業だからな。
So that's right. He's still investigating what happened.
それはお互い様です。
So this is assuming then that the
おいたいた。早な。
The the Hinamizawa disaster happened because he wrote about that in his book. And that Rika died, right? The other man noticed and waved his hand before anyone in the car could honk the horn. The man was a young fellow on a motorcycle with a big backpack on his shoulders. He looked like he was ready to go camping. Akasaka and his partner stepped out of the car and shook hands with the young man.
小隊長殿、ご無沙汰いたしております。
おう、今のとこはどうだ？元気にやってるか？今日は楽にしてくれていいぞ。こちらは俺が大学時代に大変お世話になった赤坂先輩だ。
どうも、赤坂です。今日はもう一人大石という者とご一緒するお約束でしたが、直前に検査入院が入ってしまいまして、同行できませんでした。
I'm wondering though about
この度はお世話になりますが、
what timeline this took place in, because they're calling it the demon script. So I'm assuming that in this timeline we're talking about right here, the bad thing happened.
よろしくお願いします。
さて、赤坂先輩、どこから回りますか？
His name was Mamoru Akasaka. He was a veteran detective from the Tokyo Metropolitan Police Department. Despite the fact he was close to his retirement, he hadn't lost his clear instinct and sharp eyes at all. Those eyes showed the confidence he'd built through many risky experiences, and he had a well-built muscular body and a fearless aura. He must have fought against many violent criminals. Quite different from, the Akasaka that we played as, where he was still pretty new to everything. His connection to Hinemizawa went back almost 30 years, all the way back to 1978. He was in the Public Safety Department in the Metropolitan Police Department. He came to Hinamizawa to investigate the kidnapping case of the grandson of Inagai, the then Minister of Construction. There he met Oishi and Rika Furday. Rika Furday predicted her own death. Okay, so it did happen in this one. Akasaka regretted for the rest of his life he couldn't save that little girl from her fate. He saw the news of the great Hinemizawa disaster on TV and met up again with Oishi. They pledged to uncover the mystery of both the cruel fate that fell upon the little girl and the series of mysterious deaths in Hinamizawa. Unfortunately, Hinamizawa was sealed off for a long time. As a result, all Akasaka and Oishi could do for the past 20 years was publish the little information they'd gathered, and asked for their readers to send their tips and clues. But recently, the seal on Hinemizawa had finally been lifted. However, they couldn't come to Hinemizawa until today due to Akasaka's busy work schedule and Oishi's poor health. In fact, Oishi was supposed to come with Akasaka, but he was called in for an emergency health checkup. The other two who came along were Akasaka's juniors from university. One worked at the ground SDF, and the other was his subordinate. They were assigned the mission of sealing off Hinemizawa, so they were quite knowledgeable about the village. Akasaka took out a scrapbook from his bag. The corners of the scrapbook were all dented, making it look very old. Akasaka flipped through the pages, thought for a second, and let them know his first destination.
では、鬼ヶ淵沼をお願いします。
了解いたしました。それではご案内いたします。
The young man got on his bike and waited for the others to get back to their car. They honked at each other to signal that they were ready, and the young man led the car to the swamp. Heading through the forest, they came to an open area where the ground was covered by concrete. There wasn't even a single drop of water in sight. All the water of the swamp had been replaced by concrete. That was what Onagafuchi swamp looked like now.
沼どころか水たまりもないな。
大災害後のだいぶ初期に埋め立てられたと聞いています。自分がここへ着任した時はすでに埋め立てられていました。
ちょっと降りてみよう。
This is quite a bit longer of a tip than I was expecting. This is like a full, mini episode. Akasaka got out of the car and walked to the center of the concrete-filled swamp. It wasn't a parking lot or a heliport. It was just a huge empty concrete space right in the middle of the forest.
なるほど。これがネットでよく言う
Oh my gosh.
UFO の着陸場というやつか。
People are saying that? Really? Was it not just, oh my gosh, I forgot her name, Takano.
そんなことを言われてるんですか？
ここの写真がよくミステリー系のサイトに紹介されてるよ。ここで政府と宇宙人が交流してたって言うんだ。確かにこんな森の中にポカンとこんなコンクリートの空き地があれば不審に思うよな。
Volcanic gas erupted from this swamp in June 1983. The deadly mixture of hydrogen sulfide and carbon dioxide engulfed and destroyed Hinemizawa in a single night. The village was sealed off and the SDF covered the swamp with concrete.
ネットで騒いでる連中にも連中なりの根拠があるらしい。地質学的に言ってガスの発生源を塞ぐために沼をコンクリートで固めるなんてのは。
なるほど。確かに活火山の火口をコンクリートで埋めたという話は聞かないですね。でもまあ税金での無駄な工事は我が国の伝統ですから。
Lately, people who love things like supernatural phenomenon and UFOs write on the internet about the great Hinemizawa disaster. It's well known by now that the cause of the disaster was an eruption of deadly volcanic gas from a magma chamber. In 1986, a similar natural disaster occurred at Lake Nyos in Cameroon, Africa, so people easily believed that such a rare natural disaster could occur anywhere on Earth, and that was what happened in Hinemizawa as well. However, a rumor about another possible explanation had begun to fly around on the internet recently. They say the disaster was a cover-up by the government, and that it was actually a biochemical terrorist attack by aliens. God damn, I thought we were past the alien thing, but I guess not. Why had such a rumor begin to spread now? They claim to back up their theory with a secret document known as File Number 34. Maybe Takano didn't actually die and she's on the internet putting that stuff out there. Someone online named it File Number 34 for descriptive purposes, but the name spread and stuck since then because it sounded like a government conspiracy. People loved it. It's unknown how or from where they obtained those documents, but they posted scans and pictures, which were all ridiculous. Maybe Maybe that scrapbook is Takano's scrapbook and someone found it somehow. Plus, more fake evidence was produced over time, so now even the existence of such documents are in doubt. File number 34 deserves a little bit more explanation. However, since it started on the internet, truths and lies were all mixed together, and it has become more like an urban legend. So, this is what is believed to mostly be true. File number 34, yep, was a notebook written by a nurse named Mio Takano who worked at a local clinic in Hinamizawa. File number 34 was most likely named after her. This woman was a researcher who studied the demon myth of Hinemizawa and tried to solve what it meant. The contents of this notebook state she prophesized the great Hinemizawa disaster of 1983. According to her research, a UFO crash-landed in Hinemizawa a long time ago and sunk into Onagafuchi swamp. The UFO carried parasitic bacteria from space, and they began to infect the locals. The infected villagers began to behave extremely violently, so much so that they were fit for the word demon. Mio Takano insisted this was the explanation for the myth about demons pouring out of the swamp. An alien who survived the crash realized the Earthlings had gone crazy because of the bacteria he brought in, and he decided to show himself to the villagers to help them out. This is how Oishi was born. The alien was able to cure the villagers with highly advanced technology, but couldn't eradicate the bacteria completely. Since the villagers looked up to the alien as some sort of deity, the alien utilized its status to hand down specific rules to the villagers in order to stabilize the disease. The bacteria took a liking to Hinemizawa's habitat, so when a carrier of the disease left Hinemizawa, their symptoms would re-emerge. Therefore, the alien made it a rule not to leave the village. This leads to the legend of the transcendence of Onagafuchi. The weird practices and miracles that the villagers performed were realized by means of the advanced technology that they received from the alien.
そういうののマニアな人たちはつくづくそういうのが好きですよね。ノストラダムスの大予言だって99年にはあんなに騒いだのに7月が過ぎたら何事もなかったかのようにみんな過ごしてる。民放もあれだけ煽っておいて無責任たらありゃしない。
でも高野美代はHinamizawa大災害を予見したらしい。それは嘘じゃない。確かにこのスクラップ帳に書いてある。
そんなまさか。赤坂先輩、それ本当に？
As time passed, the bacteria stabilized in human bodies and became harmless. The alien and the bacteria began to fade away from people's minds. However, the alien has lived on for hundreds of years with the protection of the three families. It still lives on as the spirit of a deity in the secret temple of the Furday shrine. The alien manipulated the bacteria living inside the villagers and maintained control over them for hundreds of years. The alien wanted to regain its power and started researching how to bring back the lost powers of the bacteria, etc., etc. Things get much stranger from there. People say the disaster was actually part of the alien's plan to conquer the entire Earth by spraying the reawakened bacteria. I love it, it's like, and that's where it gets a little bit too crazy. The Japanese government has a secret division that fights against alien invasions, and they trained at Area 51 in the US, etc., etc. And they moved in to stop the invasion by sealing off the entire village, and they killed all the residents by using toxic gas.
映画でそんなのありましたね。なんて言ったっけな。
この辺まで来ると、俺もそろそろめちゃくちゃだなと
I
は思
love
う。
that this is taking place not in, like,
ただ、
present
この
time.
めちゃくちゃを書いた高野美代は、昭和58年の6月中旬、
Because if they're saying
正
30
体不
years
明の
later,
開始を遂げる。
still some time ago, but still enough that, like, Men in Black was a thing, and the internet.
そして、その死の直前に、自らの死を悟ったかのように、村の一人の少女に、こ
Ooh,
の
this
ス
is
ク
what
ラ
I
ッ
want
プ
to
帳
know.
を預けて、
Do we
遺
find
書
out?
を託したというんだ。
Do we find out what happened to Rena? That girl is known as Girl A. Some guy who investigated the case was able to track it down to a girl named Rena Ryugu, so now it's known as the Rena Ryugu theory on the internet. Rena Ryugu inherited Mio Takano's will by means of the scrapbooks. She tried to fight against the planned invasion by holding a school hostage and demanding the local police uncover the aliens' plot. Of course, no one believed her, and they assumed she was in a state of paranoia. Back then, people assumed that Reina Ryugu took Mio Takono's delusions seriously and was motivated to commit a poorly executed crime. When she held the school hostage, Reina Ryugu told local police the alien was controlling the three families, and that it was plotting a bioterrorism on a massive scale. And the very next day, the great Hinemizawa— oh wow. Oh shit. Okay, well I guess that answers that question about what happened. The great Hinemizawa disaster occurred. Shit.
まさかそりゃ偶然じゃないんですか。
わからない。偶然ではないと思う連中に言わせると、その後の自衛隊による封鎖はおかしなことだらけらしい。例えば、この沼の埋め立てが一例だ。
Well, I guess so much for it ending, somewhat happily. It's like, and then everybody died anyway.
そして、埋め立てる前に、明らかに通常の地質調査とは異なる秘密の調査を行っていたとされていて、当時、ここの封鎖に関わっていた自衛隊員たちが、それを何人も証言している。否定派はそれを、単にガスの発生地なので、危険に備えて立ち入りを制限していただけだと主張するんだがね。
God damn this game. I was just getting over the fact of being like, okay, so this was all just a coincidence and blah blah blah, and now they're putting a little thing in my head again being like, but maybe this could just be a coincidence. But I mean, come on, like Mio predicted the disaster.
それは多分否定派の言うのが正しいんじゃないかと思いますね。
他にも異常に長かった封鎖期間も疑惑の目が向けられている。近年に起こった離島の火山ガス災害の例を見てもわかるように、4、5年で立ち入り禁止を解いている。
So there could be a conspiracy. This all could just be coincidence again.
Hinamizawaのケースは例外中の例外のケースのはずなのに、封鎖は極めて長期に及んだ。
あのケースは島民が帰島を強く希望したからと聞いています。Hinamizawaには帰る人がそもそもいないんだから、十分安全が確認できるまでたっぷり期間を置いただけなのでは。
あとこんな話もあるぞ。Hinamizawaを封鎖していた自衛隊員たちは定期的に血を抜かれての厳密な検査を受けていたといい、それは実は細菌感染の陽性反応を見るもので、自衛隊員たちをとどまらせることによる何らかの人体実験だったとささやかれているらしい。
それはやはりガスが湧き出す危険性があっただけに、健康管理には気を使ったということでしょう。それに普通のサラリーマンだって年に一度は健康診断を受け、その時に血を抜かれてるはずです。
まあ君の言うことももっともだと思う。あともっと面白い話もあるぞ。Hinamizawa大災害時に火山ガスは発生していないと主張する連中がいる。
Oh my god. You can't keep throwing theories at me like this, because just as I, write one off as being like, okay, maybe that's not the case, and they throw another one at me, and then if they convince me enough, I'm like, alright, well maybe this is the one. I'm like, damn it.
火山ガスは発生していない？どういう意味ですか？
つまりもともと火山ガスなんか噴出してなくて、ガス災害というのが政府の嘘であると主張しているらしい。ほら、洋画の人類と UFO がコンタクトする作品でも同じ設定だったじゃないか。
それこそミステリーマニアのこじつけだと思いますね。で、その連中は何を根拠に火山ガスが発生しなかったと言っているんです？
封鎖解除後、ミステリーマニアがドットを押し寄せて UFO 説を補強するためにいろいろ調べたらしい。で、連中の主張はこうだ。政府発表の火山ガス成分によるならば、硫化水素によって金属が腐食されたり、自然体系に大きなダメージが残るはずだ。にもかかわらず、Hinamizawaにはそういう痕跡が残っておらず、もっともあれから20年も放置された村なんだ。そんな痕跡を発見できたかどうかは疑わしいな。
やはりつくづくインターネットというのは信用できませんね。で、まさか赤坂先輩はその怪しげな話を信じてるわけですか？
最初は信じなかったが、最近は俺もわからない。 何割かは真実が含まれているかもしれないと思う
God
よ
damn
うに
it.
なっている。
Well, I mean, if Akasaka's believing them and he seems like a pretty, logical person, then I feel a little bit more justified in maybe starting to believe in it too.
赤坂先輩とも
Not the
あろうお
UFO,
方が
though. I do not
UFO
believe in
話を
that.
信じるんですか
No.
このスクラップ帳、
I'm
これ
gonna,
が
I'm,
本
I'm
物
gonna
の
be so mad.
34号文書だとしたら、
I'm gonna be so mad if there's aliens behind all this. I'm gonna be so mad.
え？
昭和58年6月25日にHinamizawa営林署に人質を取って籠城した竜宮レイナが所持していた正真正銘本物の34号文書だ。Hinamizawa大災害の混乱で長いこと行方不明だったが、近年大石さんの古い友人が県警の保存庫で発見したらしい。
Back then, Oishi thought that Rena Ryugu was delusional, but after reading this again after the Great Hinamizawa disaster, some of the content seemed to hold vital clues. It's not the alien part that he was interested in, but the theory that an endemic disease of parasitic microbes in Hinamizawa was responsible for the curse of Oishi-sama. See, that's the one I'm more prone to believing. Not UFOs, not aliens. Of course, there's no proof that such microbes existed, so it still remains a theoretical level.
大石さんの仮説なんだが、御三家が過去の信仰心を村に取り戻すために大昔の毒性の強い病原体を研究していたのは本当じゃないかって言うんだ。Hinamizawa大災害は実はその結果の失敗じゃないかってな。
This theory is also based on the theories and myths he found on the internet. The village clinic's chief doctor died mysteriously right before the Great Hinamizawa disaster. A girl, Rika Furday, was brutally murdered on the night Rena Ryugu took the school hostage. So she died that night. There could have been an underground research lab beneath the village clinic, and Dr. Erie could have been forced to do microbiological research, but he couldn't live with his own sins and committed suicide. I keep forgetting the timeline of this, so we know. So that was June 25th that she took the school, so it's June 26th that the Hinamizawa disaster takes place. Rika Furday could have been brutally murdered in a sacrifice for some sort of ritual ceremony in the name of Oishi-sama's revival. That's so sad that it's like, we thought maybe that this was going to be the chapter, maybe, that everyone survived, and then I forgot all about the disaster. However, their experiment went wrong. Instead of the microbes being parasitic in the villagers, they became a killer virus. And they exterminated the entire village in one night.
ただのガス災害じゃないことは明白なんだ。ガスが湧く直前に一人の少女が細菌テロを予告し、数人の村人が開始を遂げている。それをスクラップ帳にまとめた高野美代本人も含めてね。あれを偶然の予見不可能な災害だとするにはどうも腑に落ちない要素が少なくない。この34号文書を読めばそれらは明らかにはっきりしてくる。
じゃあHinamizawa大災害は自然災害ではなく細菌テロ。
In the modern era, everyone in Japan knows about the shocking incident where a doomsday cult created a nerve gas, sarin, and unleashed it for the purposes of mass murder. But in the 80s, the idea of a single cult being able to carry out such an act of terrorism didn't even cross our minds.
その後の自衛隊の長い封鎖はその殺人ウイルスを調査するためではないかとささやかれているんだが、すっきりしないな。
UFO に乗った宇宙人がって話よりはカルト集団がって方が近年は信憑性がありますからね。
Yes, I'm on his side. I'm like, yes, because at least the parasites and the bioterrorism that is rooted in some sort of reality.
本当に UFO が墜落した可能性もあるかもしれないな。竜宮レイナが人質籠城時に出した要求の筆頭は、鬼ヶ淵沼の底には墜落した UFO の残骸があるから引き上げろというものだったらしい。
バカバカしい。
それがバカバカしいか調べたくても、見ろ。沼はコンクリートで数メートルの厚さで固められ、確かめる術もない。地質学的にはガスを防ぐ効果は何も期待できないはずのバカバカしい工事によってだ。
赤坂先輩がそれを立証するには あとはここの住民の生き残りを見つけて、体内からその特殊な病原体ってやつを見つけ出すほかないんじゃないですか。
Didn't Sadako and her uncle disappear, didn't they? Like they got out.
それも致命的だ。Hinamizawa大災害後のHinamizawa出身者に対する魔女狩りのせいで、今や出身者の存在は不明だ。彼らは名乗りなどあげまい。
Right after the disaster, some people who were from Hinemizawa started displaying erratic behavior. When they started dying mysteriously and committing suicide in strange ways, people got scared of them and chased them out of the neighborhoods. Oh yeah, that was Keiichi too. He got taken and put into an institution, I believe, and then because he was talking about the extra set of footsteps, and then he died while he was in custody because he got interviewed by that reporter. The government was practically useless in protecting their privacy at the time, so the former residents of Hinamizawa lied about where they were from and have kept it that way since.
じゃあお手上げじゃないですか。
それでも諦めないのが刑事魂ってもんだよ。あれが自然災害じゃなかったっていう状況証拠はいくらでもあるんだ。何か一つの具体的証拠が見つかれば、芋づる式に全てを白日のもとにさらせるかもしれない。
まああれから20年経過してますからね。真相はあまりに遠い闇の中かもしれません。
そうだな。21世紀の今頃になってここを訪れても何も分かりはしないのかもな。
What happened in Hinamizawa in June 1983? The only factual evidence that I had was Mio Takano mysteriously died and left her scrapbook predicting a bioterrorist attack. A young girl took a school hostage to make people listen to this prediction, but no one took it seriously. The chief doctor of the village clinic committed suicide. People believed a little girl, Rika Furday, was a reincarnation of Oishi-sama, and she was brutally murdered. What was the truth behind this scrapbook? Was it written to reveal a huge conspiracy? Or was it just a bunch of delusions written by an occult maniac? If the contents of the scrapbook were true, the disaster could have been avoided if we had heeded the warnings of one girl. Man, this is crazy. Rena could have been right all along. If they weren't true, then who created the disaster to follow the scenario of the scrapbook? After the sarin nerve gas incident, the words mind control came to the spotlight. In contrast to brainwashing, which can easily force a person to commit certain acts in the short term, I'm trying to remember the name of the cult. I know it was a Japanese cult, and it was run by a guy, and I can't remember his name. I've listened to podcasts about it where they release the sarin gas in the in train stations, and thankfully it mostly failed. It could have been so much worse. If you guys are interested, I really recommend I listen to a podcast about it. It's called Last Podcast on the Left, and I think they did like a 2 or 3 part series on it. I'll put the name of the once I figure it out, once I like research it and find out what the name of this is. It is fascinating, and it drives me crazy that I can't remember the name of the cult, but I really recommend it because it could have been so much worse. It could have easily been the worst terrorist attack in history if it had gone the way that they wanted it to. So anyway, back to this. In contrast to brainwashing, which can easily force a person to commit certain acts in the short term, mind control takes a long time to gradually make a person believe that what he or she must do is the right thing to do, and to act upon it as if it was his or her idea. It is a form of character alteration which is far more serious than brainwashing. The cult behind the sarin gas incident induced fear and anxiety into its members through its revelations of doomsday. At the same time, they ordered them to do certain things as means of salvation, and had them do so voluntarily. The formula was quite similar to how Reina Ryugu became a puppet to file number 34. So does that mean Reina Ryugu was mind-controlled by someone? Does this mean the cult that mind-controlled her tried to cause the end of the world in order to increase the credibility of their teachings, just like the other cult did? Would that make file number 34 some sort of religious textbook for them? When I lose my grip on what's true and what's not, it sometimes makes me feel that someone might be laughing in amusement at this disaster. The scrapbook was like a script. It was a script for tragedy that takes the lives of thousands of villagers in one night. It was a script for demons who laugh at that loss of human life. And there's a talk again about like it's a script. It almost feels like they know itself this isn't real. Someone wrote the script. Someone performed it. someone watched the show and laughed. It's just weird that Keiichi was going on about, like, this is a script, the demon script, and now Akasaka is saying something very similar. Damn it. What the hell happened in Hinemizawa in June 1983? Damn, a lot of revelations there. It's good to see Akasaka back. Just, man, making me think things again about, like, just when you think you're approaching something close to a conclusion, and then they just rip the rug from beneath you, and then you just have to rethink everything. Alright, and I will, this time, sorry guys, last time I didn't do the staff room, but I will make sure to do it this time, so let's check it out. Hello, my name is Ryokishi07. I hope you enjoyed playing Higurashi When They Cry, Chapter 6, Tsumihoroboshi. There are several themes I wanted to write in this chapter, but I'd like to talk about one of them here. It's about the denial of murder. This is something I had to write sooner or later, since this is a novel about serial murders. There are two means that youngsters in particular use these days to solve problems, which are murder and suicide. When we feel stress, we choose to either get rid of the source of stress or to get away from it. Let's say you're bullied by a kid at school. You have two ways to solve the problem. You choose either to get rid of the kid from your current environment, or to get away from the environment itself. Usually, bullies are stronger and have their underlings, so you don't stand a chance alone to get rid of them. It's also not easy to switch classes or quit school, so you can't easily get away from the situation. As a result, the situation gets worse day by day, and your stress urges you to solve the problem immediately. And you come up with murder or suicide as easy solutions. If suicide is considered defeat, you'd want to consider murder. I feel like there are many people who think that way. However, if you actually commit a murder, it wouldn't be easy to pay for the sin. I believe murderers know that well too. But you really hate the bully who pushes you to your limit when you have no choice but to kill him. So with a determination that turns your entire life upside down, you commit murder. But if you have such strong determination, there have to be more ways to take than opting for murder, which should be the last resort. You can talk to your friends. If that doesn't work, you can talk to your family. If that doesn't work, you can talk to your teacher. If that doesn't work, then what? There have to be more ways. If you have the determination to give up on your life by committing murder, there have to be more ways. Our modern era is better than any era before it. There are many hotlines you can call to talk to someone. Even if you don't have any friends or family, there are many places you can go for help. The people who will answer the phone aren't amateurs. They're volunteers, but they're also veterans who have worked as social workers or juvenile counselors for a long time. I can assure you they have more social experience and passion than your parents do. People who work to help people for free can't be bad people. Wasn't Ted Bundy? Didn't he work at a suicide hotline, if I'm not mistaken? I mean, no offense to people. I would say 99% of people who volunteer their time to work for these are awesome and caring people, but yeah, not always the case. If you feel like you have no choice but to kill the bully or commit suicide, please try to call those hotlines. People who think it's useless to talk to others usually haven't really talked to anyone. Have the courage to call. There will be somebody you can completely rely on at the other end of the line. Don't keep it to yourself. Talk to somebody. Ryokishi07 wrote such a long story just to tell you this. He must be a very poor writer. So Ryokishi07 wants to talk to you all rather than worrying all by himself. How can I write even more entertaining stories? Bitter laugh. Well, that's nice. This is a nice thing. I'm glad I read this. And don't let the fact that I said that you might be talking to a Ted Bundy deter you away. If anybody needs to talk to somebody, please call those hotlines. I'm sorry I said that. I feel like a bad person now. Alright guys, that will do it for Chapter 6 of Higurashi When They Cry. You guys called it when you said that this was one of, if not the best chapters. I know I said that the last chapter was my favorite. No. This one is my new favorite. This one was absolutely amazing, and the ending just had me just wanting to just keep playing. and it had me more hooked than I think any end to the chapter ever has. It was just so intense, and oh my god, Rena, poor Rena, is just, wow, she had so much more going on than I could have thought, and it was so nice to finally get to delve into her character. So, I know I said this with the last chapter, but I'm going to find it very hard for any of the other chapters to beat this one. This one is my favorite by far, absolutely. So I'm very interested, now that we're kind of like, there was that hint about Akasaka, I was like, is the next chapter going to be his, or is it going to be like, is it the last chapter where we're finally going to find out all of the mysteries? Is that going to be like his finally discovering what's going on? I can't wait. There's only so much left of this story, and I can't wait to finally get some dang answers, because just when I thought I was starting to get some answers here, now I'm left with more questions. So I'm going to stop rambling. This was an amazing chapter. I hope you guys enjoyed it as much as I did. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to catch you Chapter 7, which will be coming out next Friday. Thank you guys once again for watching, and I will catch you in the next one. Bye.